when you're looking at these futures, do you want to go with the championship or do you just want to go with the East or the West? When you break it down to the conference, then it's one less series you got to win. It's really, really nice when you have a team that makes it to the finals. But the whole idea of finding a team you're going to get value with, they can't be 3 or 4 to 1 to start, because if they're 3 or 4 to 1 and they win it, all you're going to get it down to is the 1 and 2 to 1. And you need a 7, 8, 9. You need somebody in that range. And that's what you got to be looking for. So the one that jumped out at me, Minnesota 7 to 1.
I like Minnesota. I think they have a lot of depth. Karl-Anthony Towns has had an MVP year. Now, he's not going to win the MVP, but he's been an all-world player this year. He's really taken his game to the next level. And Edwards, they have depth. The problem with the Timberwolves going into the playoffs, they don't have experience. And going into the NBA playoffs, you need that experience. Whoever they play in the first round, that is going to be the problem going into the playoffs.
Which will be either the Suns or the Grizzlies.
Yes.
Either one of them are going to be really tough.
I think they beat the Grizzlies. I think they could compete with the Grizzlies, even though they have a lot of depth. But the Suns, they don't stand a chance against the Suns. The Suns have the most depth out of any team in the NBA. That's why they're the number one team, and that's why they've been dominating all season long. And yes, Chris Paul.
The Suns didn't even take that much of a step back in that chunk of games where CP3 was out. What I will say, though, is at some point, a team with no playoff experience, they figure it out, and they get on a good run, and they find the experience, and they win the whole thing. Minnesota, at the number Chaz mentioned, at 7 to 1, there's value there. I'm not saying they win it all, but I like 7 to 1.
But that's the beauty of this concept of you don't have to win it all. You just have to get to where their odds go down to 3 to 1. You sell it for 5 to 1. Everybody wins. It's really the great, coolest thing ever, but it is a future bet. So now we're talking about Major League Baseball opening day, a little delayed because of conflict with labor. But the one thing about baseball, it's got something that no other sport we talk about has. No other sport that we talk about has a pitcher that dominates the game, that touches the ball every single time. And that's the difference, I think, in betting baseball that betting any other sport is how much weight does the pitcher get, Errol?
We all know the pitcher is the most important position in professional sports. If you have a dominant pitcher, he can win a baseball game. I've seen a pitcher in the National League get the only hit in the game, which is a home run, and then pitch a full game. He practically wins the game by himself and pitched a no-hitter. So a pitcher could dominate a game, and we've seen that yesterday with the Yankees and the Red Sox. Garrett Cole did not pitch well in the first inning. The Yankees hitting had to pick up the slack. And what happens in the 11th inning? The guy that they made a trade for that all the Yankee fans wanted to jump off the plane because they're going to get Carlos Correa, Donaldson, was the game-winning hit. And expect Donaldson to have a big year in that lineup.
More than a quarterback, though?
Yes. I think the pitcher is much more important, especially in the playoffs. And what do they say in baseball playoffs? If you have dominant pitching, you're going to win. Only last year that really stood out. It wasn't the dominance of pitching that won the championship. It was really the lineups and how the lineups were set up in the trades at the trade deadline that worked out for the Braves. That's why the Braves won the World Series last year. It wasn't their pitching. It was just really how their lineup just fell into place in timely hitting. But usually, 9 out of 10 times or 9 out of 10 championships, it's all because of the pitching.
So I'm talking about wraparound data. It's last year's data, but it's still current. As long as the guys are still on the same team and in the same team, everything's the same, you're still using that, whether it's Canadian football or baseball. So if I'm looking at a pitcher that is on the Dodgers from last year or on the Angels or on Detroit or what a team he's on, and they're still pitching and he's still doing what he did last year, to me, that's just an extension of the data. I start my Major League Baseball season. First of all, I sign up for GMF Sports Consultants. Second thing I do is I look at all the stats from all the top pitchers, and when John gives me a play that I find a pitcher that I've got on my list, that's when I'm going to hammer the other team total unders. Because you got a guy pitching Sunday, like for the Dodgers, he's got a .219. Every 10 guys that come up, 2 of them get a hit. His whip is 1.02. If I got a guy that's got a 1.53 walks and hits per inning number, that's an overbet screaming at me for the other team. So that's where you got to look at. In the beginning, Major League Baseball, it's a new season. We talk about it every new season, Wes. You got to tiptoe into that ocean. You don't know how cold it is.
Walker Buehler, if you guys are making any bets, Walker Buehler will have 16 or more wins this year, and he will be a Cy Young candidate, guaranteed. Put that in the books.
Third best ERA, 2.47. Do you know how hard it is to win a baseball game if you look up and you got 2.5 runs? It's almost impossible. You got to have a pitcher that is throwing up numbers like that. And there's just not a lot of guys. ERAs in the American League are 4.5, 5, and he had a great year.
The only problem with Walker Buehler is the injuries, but over the last 2 years, very slight injuries. I expect him to pitch at least 30 games this year. He's going to win 16 or more games. I promise you. And by the way, Josh Donaldson, if he stays healthy on the Yankees, 30 and 100 this year. He had 26 and 72 last year, 524 at bats. If he has anywhere close to 685 to 700 at bats this year, Josh Donaldson will have 30 and 100 easy in that lineup.
And unlike a team future, a player future, you have to hop on that now. You can't have a guy hitting 16 home runs in the first month of the season and expect to hop on his home run total over 30. That's done.
That's why I like baseball. I will not bet on baseball. Basketball is the worst sport to bet on. And then baseball. Baseball is so difficult trying to figure out how many runs you're going to score in an inning because a pitcher could pitch a no-hitter in the first 3 or 4 innings and then all of a sudden choke up in the 5th inning and give up 5 runs.
Third time around the order. It can hurt pitchers every time.
You just don't know. But then you can look at analytics, and usually there are pitchers that pitch very well the first time around. How many pitchers give up multiple home runs the second time around? If you do your research, you'll know what pitcher pitches well the second or third time around.
How many times do we got to tell you stop bringing up Montgomery Brewster on your show? He can get any team out for 3 outs.
Not everybody's Mariano Rivera.
30 days in which to spend $30 million.
So anyway, that's what I'm doing on Sunday. I'm going to take a 2-teamer, the Dodgers and San Francisco, and I'm going to have 6 plays. I'm going to have the Dodgers for the first 5, and I'm doing the Moneyline Mania special. So that means I'm going to say 1 unit on him to win the first 5 innings, and then the half run, I'm going to do a half a unit. Same thing for the game. Going to win half a unit, but they're in Colorado. So what I'm not doing is I'm not betting Colorado's team total under. I'm going to bet the Dodgers team total over. So that'll be like a tiebreaker for me. 6 bets because I'm going to do the first half. I don't believe that if you like a play that you should ever not bet it for the segment they give you. So if it's the first half or it's the first 5 innings, don't get me wrong. I'm not telling you, and Wes, how many times we've only had the first 5 innings or we've only had the first period. I'm saying if you like a team for the game and you don't bet them in those early ones, well, you are an idiot.
Well, before I let you guys go, did you hear that Aaron Judge turned down a $213 million extension for 7 years where he would be the highest paid Yankee in Yankees history? Could you imagine that? You know what that means? Ladies and gentlemen, I was right. Aaron Judge will not be a Yankee next year. There is no way the Yankees are going to give him more than $37 million a year.
He's now playing for that contract the entire year.
Where's he going to go?
Well, the Yankees aren't going to offer him that contract at the end of the season. If he doesn't have a good season, there's no way the Yankees are giving him that contract.
Right, but he has a good season. Somebody will come in and give him 1.5.
Somebody will give him 8 years and $250.
He's going to get $250. Aaron Judge will not be a Yankee at the end of this season. So as a Yankee fan, enjoy whatever you love about Aaron Judge because he will not be a Yankee next year.
Well, he's not in Arkansas, Wes. You know how much it takes to live in New York? How are you supposed to live on $30 million?
How do you know, Chaz? Everyone's transferring to Arkansas now, so maybe Aaron Judge will join at this rate.
Blue ribbons are $3. That's why.
I was going to say you get a pitcher of beer for $6 and some cheap real estate. It's Arkansas is a wonderful part of the country.
If you were one of the first 10,000 fans over 21, you got a free one yesterday in Arizona.
Speedy, what did I tell you where Aaron Judge is going to go next year? Who did he root for as a kid?
Oh, the Red Sox.
I'm willing to bet because, remember, Bogarts is gone next year. They're not re-signing him. They just gave Trevor Story. They're going to move him to short just to give the Yankees a nice little stab.
That would be so Boston.
It would be.
That would be cool.
He's going to be a Red Sox next year. They'll give him the $250 million because the Yankees did it to them with A-Rod.
I can see him in a Dodger uniform too, though.
No, the Dodgers spent way too much money on Freeman and all the other acquisitions that they've made. Maybe the Mets. Steve Cohen would do it. Do a little smack to the Yankees.
Maybe not next Saturday, but by the Saturday after, I'll have my Derby. We got to come up with the Derby the week before, right, Wes?
Yeah.
Because we'll be on Saturday night. I'll be really drunk that night. I get drunk on Derby night.
Well, there you go. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that was Money Line Mania. We had World. Yes, it's no more Black Hawk West. It is Worldwide West because he likes to travel. He was in Arkansas the other day, Yeah, he won a little bit of money, and now he's back and winning you guys some money. So definitely stay tuned every single week to listen to Chaz and the crew, Moneyline Mania. Sports Betting Weekly will be back on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network in the next couple of weeks, so stay tuned for that. We really appreciate you guys joining us.
They'll always be cashing.
Moneyline Mania, fantastic every single week. They're 84.5% right. I was wrong about Duke, and I was wrong about Villanova, but great tournament. Kansas wins. Nobody would have expected Kansas to win, but nevertheless, I didn't want to see North Carolina win, so I was happy about that.
Every one of my neighbors expected Kansas to win.
Oh, yeah, you have a little geographic bias there.
There's a geographic bias, and KU is going to win the next 5 if you ask anybody near me.
They're going to have a lot of recruiting they're going to have to do, that's for sure.
Wes, if Kansas wins 5 championships in a row, I'm probably never going to watch college basketball.
It is the pro basketball team in Kansas City. Lawrence is only about 50, 60 miles away, and it was a great thing for the city. Union Station was lit up with blue and the little red highlights, and Rock Chalk Jayhawk. It is a really cool thing. Kansas City party's safe. Nobody got hurt. Great celebrations. It was great for this city.
Absolutely. As long as North Carolina didn't win, they knocked off my Duke Blue Devils, so I wasn't happy about that. So I was so happy and so proud that Kansas came back from that deficit in the first half. And Hubert Davis, I don't know what the hell he was thinking in the second half. You're up 16 points. You let them come back in a game that you should have just really pulled away mid of the second half of the game. So Kansas wins. Guys, I really appreciate you guys. We'll see you next week.
Always be cashing.